Ah, methylene blue. I personally love methylene blue. What is it? Well, it's an aniline dye discovered around the 1870s. It was originally used as a dye, and then they realized it had some amazing anti-malarial properties. I use it personally for that whenever I'm in a malaria zone, which I try not to be too often. It was also the world's first chemotherapeutic because it's been proven to actually have anti-tumor effects. So it was a chemo drug. The issue was it couldn't be patented. So it was replaced by patentable chemotherapeutic drugs. What other things does it bring to the party? Well, it's quite unique in that it lowers inflammation. Why I like it is it actually donates and receives electrons. So it contributes to something called the electron transport chain in mitochondrial energy production. Most people notice a significant improvement in energy and focus. Why? Because it also improves brain focus. And this is why I like it in menopause, perimenopause. Some of the other things that it's really well renowned for. Actually, let me finish this chapter before I leap ahead in my excitement. Why does it improve brain focus? Well, because the brain, as you can imagine, has a really high density of mitochondria. And because of this, other organs which are highly dense in mitochondria, like the heart and liver, also benefit because it's just improving mitochondrial performance. If you're an Olympic athlete and you are finely tuned and you've had zero inflammation and zero underlying infections, well, perhaps you wouldn't see the benefit or feel the benefit. But there's two parts to this. Even if you don't feel the benefit, and it's very rare that people don't feel the benefit, then one of the things that you should be aware of is it's antibacterial, and dosage is key. I'll walk you through the dosages. Antibacterial, it's antiviral, and it's antifungal. So for anybody who's previously struggled with a perimenopause or menopause-induced UTI, urinary tract infection, this can actually be the thing that opens the door and gets rid of it. It's even improved people's skin because quite often eczema, psoriasis, atopic dermatitis have a pathogenic bacteria underlying. So it has with it a host of benefits. And coming back to the brain element, is that there are some forward-thinking doctors now using it as a replacement for antidepressants because it has serotonin modulating benefits. If you want to read more about this, there's a great doctor called Dr. John Lieurance. And Lieurance is not spelt how you would expect it. It's Lieurance. And he has written a book called Methylene Blue, Magic Bullet, which sounds a little bit sensationalist as titles go. But of all of the books that I've read on methylene blue, and I've probably read about 5, to be honest, it's not like a dozen, 5. I like Dr. John Lieurance the best. Why? Because he really brings the science to life. What he does is he explains, leverages off papers, and really validates his statements. There's some woo-woo books on Amazon which make some big, audacious claims but don't have any research to back it up. Dr. John Lieurance stays very firmly in the science whilst making it animated, enjoyable and exciting. Frankly, if I could write a book like him, I would be writing them all day. So his book is really good. I would encourage you to look into that. Now, if you feel that methylene blue is something you would like to explore more, then stay tuned because I'll go through some rules, first of all, about who should be using methylene blue and who shouldn't be, and then I will show you how to dose it so that you stay very much in the safe zone and avoid some of the nonsense which is currently online. Okay, who should not be considering methylene blue? These are a list of contraindications, and if anybody has these, they should definitely consider never taking methylene blue. As with anything, please embrace the carpenter's prayer of measure twice, cut once. Never experiment when you don't know. This is a really powerful, amazing substance, but a bit like driving in the car with no lessons. You know, there's a lot of downside. Cars have incredible upsides, but if you don't have any lessons or any support or know-how, there's a lot of downsides. So do not take methylene blue if you've got a specific gene called G6PD. It's glucose 6 phosphate dehydrogenase. It changes the way you metabolize it, and it could create a fatal reaction. Now, reassuringly, this is relatively rare, and I do not know of anyone ever who has had this. Okay? It's possible, so I am making you aware of it. You're grown, emancipated, emotionally smart humans. Please, just check. If you're not sure and you can't get access to any of that data, then going in at an absolute minimum dose is a win. Literally 2 drops is all you need to know. And if you feel a bit tingly, lightheaded, then you never have any more than that. So that's the first part. Secondly, because methylene blue improves your serotonin levels, you should never mix it with SSRIs, antidepressants, because you could actually have something called serotonin syndrome, i.e. when your levels of serotonin become dangerously high. Once again, I have never met or know of anybody having this. I think there's 2 documented cases of it over the last 100 years. And there are some forward-thinking doctors who are weaning people off antidepressants whilst putting their clients on to methylene blue to improve serotonin levels with all the other benefits of methylene blue. I would just advise to wait. If you're on SSRIs and you want to try methylene blue, get one out of your system and then gently put the methylene blue in, titrate it in. If you have really chronic kidney disease, I'm not sure is the honest answer how methylene blue would interact with that. Why? Well, it has some benefits because it's hugely antioxidant, but your kidneys also need to filter it, so it could be giving it a burden. The truth is we don't know. And if we don't know, let's not guess. Similarly, if you were drinking alcohol, then be aware that methylene blue, whilst it is liver protective, it will downregulate aldehyde dehydrogenase, which is a key part of you breaking down alcohol. So you would get excessively drunk on a very little amount of alcohol. Hopefully you've embraced the humour that I brought to the alcohol frenemy, and you've decided you're kicking that to the curb for a while anyway, so that's not a concern. But it decreases your ability to metabolize alcohol. If you look at all of these things and you don't have any issues, then you are free to proceed. Whilst methylene blue is game-changing for lots of people, and let me reiterate, actually one of the really cool reasons I like about it is it often suppresses some of the conditions which have been leading to mitochondrial damage. So yes, it donates free electrons. Yes, it improves ATP production within the mitochondria, but it also deals with the underlying issues that have been causing that mitochondrial deficiency or impairment or dysfunction in the first place. It's actively going to attack viruses, quite a broad spectrum of viruses as well. I've seen it work wonders on a lot of people with chronic fatigue syndrome, whilst improving your mood and your energy and your focus. It's a win-win if you stay within the rules. You can also, and as with love and respect to Dr. Paul Saladino, you can disregard what he was saying about turning your brain blue, sensationalist nonsense. Just ignore that. Okay, so you've decided that, well, you don't have G6PD, you're not on SSRIs anymore, you're not drinking alcohol, you don't have chronic kidney disease, you want to jump into methylene blue, maybe attack some underlying like Epstein-Barr virus, some underlying candida, help lower inflammation, improve mood and energy. What's not to love? How do you proceed? Well, really simply. Number one, I advise buying it in the powder format. Why? You know what you're getting and you know what type of water you are mixing with it. I often wonder if these premixes are just mixed with tap water and it might have fluoride in or chlorine or some other sneaky things that you don't want. So if you get the powder, it's very easy for you to mix yourself. Next, you want to buy something which is labeled USP. That's United States Pharmacopoeia, and it's the highest grade of purity that is out there. It's actually higher than the European pharmaceutical grade. USP is super pure. It's like 99.99%. And to be honest, you can just get it on Amazon. There's plenty of companies. I think there's one called MB Pure, and it's the same company as MB Cure. It just depends in which country you're buying it from. I think it's CZTL, but it's marked USP. I've used this one for years and it's delivered nothing but goodness. The next thing is, when you come to mix it, don't do it in your finest white bathroom. It is an aniline dye. Make sure that you've got at least some paper down for the first time. It typically comes in 1 gram capsules, and this you will mix with 100 milliliters of water. This will give you a 1% concentration, which is the easiest to titrate. Why? Well, you now know that every drop you take is the equivalent of 1 gram of methylene blue. That's really important because when you come to calculate your dosage, you take your weight in pounds, you convert that to kilos, and you know that you can take really, really safely up to 1 gram per kilogram at 1%. So for instance, I'm 80 kilos, I could easily take 80 drops, 80 grams of methylene blue at 1%, not 80 grams of pure methylene blue. How would you actually introduce it? Well, I would start very light day one at 2 drops. Day 2, I would go on to 5 drops. Day 3, 10 drops, and just monitor symptoms. Say, for instance, you're 50 kilograms, you could be aiming for 50 drops. By the way, the safety tolerance at this percentage, you could do up to 4 times gram per kilogram. So if I was 100 kilograms, I could take up to 400 grams at 1%. You would never need to do that. That is way, way, way too much. I've seen amazing results when people stick between around half their body weight to whole body weight. And what do I mean by that? Assuming you're 50 kgs, then the sweet spot for this person would be 25 to 50 drops. Now that's a lot to take as well. Let me come back to the titration. I'll finish this. I keep skipping ahead in my excitement. So 2, 5, 10. Then what I would do is I would take 10 plus 10. 10 first thing in the morning. Some people, it can affect their stomach. It's probably about 2 out of 20 people will say, oh, actually it makes my stomach burn a little bit. They've normally got an underlying infection if that's the case. So first thing in the morning and then at lunchtime. I don't do any later than the lunchtime. Why? Well, because it's a little bit stimulant, not in a wired over caffeine way. It can impede sleep and you don't want that. So do you want me just to recap this very quickly? Powder USP, 1 gram of powder into 100 milliliters. There's a couple of ways you can do this. It normally comes with a tiny, tiny, tiny little funnel. that looks like it's been made by elves. And what you want to do is put it into, oh, Rowan, that's supposed to be a dark coloured bottle. I'm really sorry. I'm never going to be a children's entertainer and be able to draw things. But anyway, you can put the funnel in the top of it. Dark coloured dropper bottle, ideally 100 ml in size, and you would get that on Amazon or your local health food store. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do it. One of the ways that I've experimented with to minimize leakage and bathroom damage is to tip the powder directly into the funnel and gently, very gently, quite often it comes with a dropper, drop water into the funnel to go through that powder and it washes into the bottle. The alternative is you get a glass measuring beaker, you put 100 mils in there, then pop the powder in here and pour it into the bottle. This way works a little bit better, I've found, but please report back and let me know what you think. So, how do you take it? And this is really, really key, because if you were to follow instructions online, it's a little bit confusing. They talk about taking it on the tongue, and people are showing pictures of their tongue being blue when they say they've taken it sublingual, which means under the tongue. And the reason behind that is sublingually, you've got something called the buccal membrane, which is really rich in veins, and it's very easy to absorb things through there. I mix it in a glass of water and I use a metal straw and drink it so it goes to the back of my throat and into my stomach. That for me has yielded by far the best results with clients. Let's say you've started day one with 2 drops and you realize that you're not having adverse effects. You've increased it to 5. The next day you've increased it to 10. You could stay at 10 for the rest of the week and then add in 10 after day 7. So suddenly you've gone up to 20 drops. That might be a really intelligent strategy. Why? Well, if you've got candida, or if you've got a virus or some pathogenic bacteria which is going to be killed by this methylene blue, you're going to avoid a Herxheimer reaction, which is all the die-off, okay? There's no point feeling nauseous and sick when we have better technology. So that's just something to think about. Is you might want to titrate it in slowly. Hopefully that's clear. If it's not, it means I need to explain it better. But please comment and let us know. We'll be putting some research links as well at the bottom of this video so you can actually check out some of the research. Very compelling on methylene blue for yourselves. I've used it really, really effectively for both myself and clients for the last maybe 4 years. And I think it played a big part in me finally recovering from some mitochondrial lag from when I was super ill a decade ago. That's personal experience, it's not medical advice. Please ask questions, we're here to support you. We're championing you actually, and we're absolutely rooting for you.